Hi team. We'll wait for 2, 3 more minutes and then we'll start so that others can join. Then we'll start the session. Hi team. So I think we can go and start the session. Meantime, if others are available, they can join the session. Let me share my screen. Design and we'll see like what we are doing in the last session. can go with the 21. Yeah. This was the integration which we are doing in the last session, right? So in the last session when we have configured, right? We have configured this login thing, right? So that time, right? Like we have in the response and everywhere, right? We put the same thing, right? So for example, right? Let me just activate this one. And we can go and run again. So we are passing in the body, right? Email and password we are passing and we are doing the login, right? So it's the same thing, right? We are getting. So it means like it was working. But in this one, right? Like if you see, right? Which API we are trying to do is like this post API login. This API, right? So if you see, right? Here also we have given the same. And when we are doing within that itself, right? So like if you see, right? Here, when we are passing, right? In the trigger, we are passing the same thing. And in the invoke also, right? When we are passing. So message send. So here also we are using the same variable, right? So as in the session, right? Yesterday last session I told that okay here, right? For the request payload, right? When we have wanted to do the third party, right? So that time, right? We have to use the same. But do we need to use the same here also? So let us go and see. Can we go and modify these things, right? So we can make a clone of this one with 05 and we can put this into the one clone. Now if I will come inside this one, so as I told, right, like at this point, right, whatever we are doing, right, so here we need to be same, right? Here we cannot go and modify anything. But what about like this one, right? Because this is our custom one, right? Here we can go and do anything, right? So let us go and we'll try to modify this one and we'll see after that one, right, whether it will work or not. So this is our JSON sample. I can say current email and current password, for example, right? We'll say. So are the two things we will do. We can go and validate, continue, and in that output also, right? We have put the same thing only. So we can say here new token, right? So this is the we wanted to print. Continue, continue. And now if you see that we made some changes at the trigger, right? Once we made the changes, we will start getting some errors, right? So we can go and save. Now what all errors we are getting? One is a business identifier and then two are the mappers, right? So at each mapper, right, we are getting. So if you see right in this one mapper, right, we are getting the warning. In this one, right, we are getting the error itself and one at the trigger. And if you see right here, if you just wanted to see errors, we can click into the errors. So only errors will come. If we go to the warnings, then warnings will come. So we can go and modify one by one. So first thing is the trigger which we need to modify. So now we need change the name, right? So we can use current email. We can do save. Now one error is gone, right? Now we don't have three errors. Now only one error we have, right? So we can go to the first mapper first. And here if you see, right, mapping for target is not valid, right? So it means like whatever we have defined, right? Let me just open here. Yeah. So whatever that we defined earlier, right? So that is not a valid, right? If you see, it is not mapping with anything, right? So what we need to do, right? We need to remap with these one, right? So what we do, we can come here to the request member. So one is like we can come to the each, we can go right click and we can say delete target. Or suppose if you have a multiple child, right? So if you see, right, all these are a part of this one, right? So if you have to delete multiple things, right, one in one go, we can go to the parent and here we can say delete target nodes or delete all target nodes, right? So we can say delete all. So if you see, right, all things will go and remove. Now we can go and map current email to current email and current password to the password. Now if you see, right, This is our one, right? The one which we defined. And this is a what? Where that external system defined. So this we have to go with as it is. Now we can say validate and we can come back. Save. Now if you see it only, so this warning also gone. Now only this error we have, right? We can come back here. So here also if you see, right, whatever we have defined earlier, right? So that is now no longer used. Let me see that output. Yeah. So if you see, right, the token was referencing this two token. But with this one, right, there is no token available itself, right? So what we need to do, right? We need to delete this one, right? So we can right click into this one and we can say delete target node. Once we delete, right, then that will go away, right? Now we can go and map the third party output with our custom output. Now we can say validate. We can go back and save this one. Now what we do, right? We can say activate this one and refresh. So now this got activated. Now let us go and run to see this one. So this is our request payload. So this is now if you see this time, right? We are not using password and email, right? We are using current password and current email. We can go and click into run. So if you see right here, we are getting the token. It means like the flow, right? The flow it is working now, right? So how it is working the flow? Because we have modified the thing. Now if you see right, our output, right, input is going into this payload, and then same thing, right, it is mapped to the one which will be required. So here it got mapped to this one, right? Then whatever the output will come from this one, right? So that will come into this token field, and then here, right, that mapping done with that our one with the new token, right? So that is what. So when we define our trigger, right, we can go and define any name, anything we can go and define. It is not necessary that okay, we should have this only, right? But what will happen, right? So only the thing which will change, right, is like the what wherever we made the code change, right? So those things we need to remap and all. But when we connect with the third party system, right, that time we have to use the exact whatever the provided by them, right? So that is what we have into this one. Now one thing we notice, right, we have created a post method and we are calling a post API only, right? If you see, this was a post API. So is it always necessary that okay, same method should be there, or we can go with the other also, right? So I will ask you only, right? Is it possible that okay, I can use that other methods, or do I have to use always the same methods? Like our trigger and invoke, right, should be in the same method, or it can be different also. Any thought, like anyone?
It can be different, I guess.
Okay, let us see. We can just try out that also, and if it works, then yes. If it won't work, then we can say yeah, it is not possible, right? So let us see. So what we do, right? We'll go and we'll make a clone of this. And what I will do, right? I will do this is going to be the get and post, right? So our trigger we will configure into the get format, and then so this one, right? This one we cannot go and modify because the system exposed as a post, so we can go and use post only. But what we can change is like our trigger part because that is in our control, right? So we can go and try out anything with that one, right? So let us go and see that one. So we can go and put back to the 21 and clone. We can come inside. Yeah. Now we know, right? Here we are calling the post method, right? In this one. So this is what we have, right? And here we are calling the post method. Now we'll try that. Okay, here if you put the get method, right? Then what will happen, right? The starting is going to be the get method, and then it will call the post method internally, right? So we'll see, right, whether that would be possible or not. So let us go and we'll make the changes here. So we can click into continue, and here, right, we need to modify this one, right? Currently it is a post method, right? So we need to put into the get method here. So once we put the get method, right, now one thing will go away, right? The request payload, right? But to run this one, right, we need the inputs, right? So we'll see that, okay, can we go and configure the parameters, right? So we can go into the parameters and we'll click into continue, because our main purpose, right, is to pass these two values, username and password, right? So we'll see that if we pass through the username and like through the parameter, right, will it work or not, right? So I will say current email, which is going to be the string. Then I will add one more, current password, and this is also going to be the string. We can say continue. Our output, right, it is going to be the same, will not change output, because in the get, right, output it can come, so we'll not do that one and we'll do the finish. So we are get here, right? Now we can go and click into save. So if you see now, right, it is working, right? Now we moved this one, now this also. But now if you see, right, it is not throwing some error and all, right? It should throw the error, right, because we modified, right? So first let us go and see the business identifier. So if you see right here, it looks like it is still referencing that one, right? Correct? But what will happen, right? Like those things will not come, right? So let us go back and then come back to see if it still comes. So if you see it here, there is no request payload, right? Let us go and put back to the post method. See here, there is no request and there is no, right? So we put get method, right? So we know, right? It will automatically go away, but still it is referencing, right? So it is kind of that cache issue or something, right? That okay, because of that one, right? It is still referencing, but we know, right? Okay, now if you see, right, it got reloaded correctly. If you see, now we are started getting error, right? So we can go and click into save again. And now if you see, right, we are getting two errors. So we can come here. So first is a business identifier, right? So now we know, right? There is no parameter with that one, right? Current email. So this we are checking in the request wrapper earlier, right? Because this was coming from the payload, right? Now we have the query parameter, right? So we can go and put this into here and we can go and save. So one error is gone away, right? Now in this mapping, the errors will come because we have modified the mapping, right? So if I come expand this one, right? So it is referencing the invalid one, right? Because those are not mapping with anything, right? So what we do, right? We can just right click and delete all target. Deleted everything. Now we can go and map current email to email and current password to the password. Now we can say validate. So validated successfully. Now we can go back and save. Right? So if you see, right, what is happening, right? It is working fine, right? Now we have configured, right? We are not getting error. But our main purpose is that it should work, right? When we try to test, right? So let us go and we can go and do the testing for this one. So you can say activate and activate. Refresh. So it got activated. Now let us go and run this one. So if you see this time, right, there's no body, right? Because you have not configured the body. So body will not come. What it is coming, right, is the parameters. And whatever we define, right? So those parameters it is coming, right? So let us go and run this one. So we need to pass these values, right? So we can go to the password. We can enter the password here, and then we need to pass the email here. So we have passed, right? Now we can go and click into run. So if you see, right, new token it will come, right? So it is working fine, right? So this is how like the whole flow will work. So it means like if we have a get method, right? So get post, right? Different methods can also interact, right? Why? Because when we interact with multiple systems, right? So we know right trigger is going to be one, right? But invoke can be any number, right? It's not necessary that okay, only one invoke will be there, right? So if multiple invokes will be there, right? Then we cannot say that okay, all should be in the post only, right? Because somewhere we need to retrieve some information, somewhere we need to update, somewhere we need to delete, right? So it's kind of different in the whole flow, right? Maybe in one flow, right? We may need to do multiple actions, right? Multiple activities. So that time, right, with the same method, right, we cannot do, right? Due to that reason, right? So interchangeable methods are available, right? So it means if our trigger is in the get method, right? So it doesn't mean that okay, all invoke should be in the get method. It can be different also, right? So this is what we have, right? Now next question, right? Now suppose client will say that okay, I wanted to configure this REST API into some other format, right? Into some other system, right? So that time, right, he will say that okay, please share me the all the information, right? That okay, what all things we need to put them, right? Or we need to share with them, right? So what will happen, right? We need to what we need to share, right? We need to share, right? What is the endpoint, right? What is the username, like what is the parameters, what is how the output will look like, right? So all those things we need to put, right? So what will happen, right? So those things you can go and get directly here in this one and endpoint metadata, right? So we have not seen till now, right? This what is endpoint metadata, right? This is the one. So whatever the integration we have created, right? So about that one, right? It will go and give us all information, right? So if you see it here, it is showing just only this much URL, right? But when we wanted to share with anyone, right? So we need to share with them completely, right? So if you see endpoint URL is this one. This is a complete endpoint URL. So first, like this one, the URL of this one, if you see up to here, then /IC. So this is the host name, right? So or instance name you can consider. Then after that one, right? It will start from this one, IC API integration version 1 flow. Then our integration identifier. Then the relative endpoint URI what we have given, and after that one it will have the email address and password, right? So this is what we need to share with them, right? So if they have the Swagger API, they can with this one. If they have the API, so they can use. Now if you see, right, we are giving resource, right, /login, right? We are telling what is the endpoint URI, right? What are the method, right? Which is a method? So it is a get method. What are the parameters, right? So these two are the parameters. What is the response type, right? So response type is into the JSON, and what is the sample JSON looks like, right? So this is what we can do, right? So like this one, right? This is the whole thing which we need to share with them, right? Then if you set it here, we will, I think, yeah. So if they wanted to connect with the Swagger, right? So we will have the code also. Same way with the Open API. So if they wanted to connect with the Open API, so this is the code. So these information, right, we can go and share with the client in case they will ask us, right, that okay, what is this details of this integration which we wanted to use with some other system, right? So these things that we can go and share, correct? Now, if you see that this is a post method, right? So in this one, it is showing the query parameter. If you go to our previous one, right? This one, let us go to the run field. In this one, right, we have passed the request payload, right? So we'll click into the endpoint metadata. So this is going to be same. So login. If you see method is a post. Then request if you see. So request type is JSON, and then it is the JSON, this one, right? Same thing with the response and response. Now here you need to remember one thing. When you configure your information, right? So now we know, right? The trigger, right, is going to be exposed. So whatever this uh, payload we will do, right, or whatever the inputs will define, right, so that is going to be exposed, right? So whenever we do this one, right, so we don't have to give the exact credential, exact information here. We need to provide some sample value, because this value, right, will come from where, right, when we are defining our trigger, right? So that time whatever we did do, right, and then it will be required only to define the schema, right? That okay, what is the input names is going to be, right? How that it looks like, right? So all those things, for that purpose only it is, right? So there we just need to define the key, right? Value you can go and define anything, right? That will not impact anything, right? So that time, right, we don't have to use exact informations or any confidential information, right? Otherwise, what will happen, right? When you expose, right? So those information, right? Confidential information can be exposed. So as a best practice, right, we can provide there any sample values, right? So for example, in this scenario, right, we have provided the exact information, right? So that is wrong, right? Because now what will happen, right? This person's email and password is exposed to everyone, right? So we don't need to do that one, right? For example, right, let us go and modify into this one only, and then we'll see, right, what will appear. So where we define those one, so it will be in the trigger part, right? So we can say next, next. So here we are defining, right? So we can come back here. So this was our one, right? So here, right, for the safer end, right, always what we do, right, we can say test at the rate gmail.com. Right? So this is something simple password, right? Now we can go and click into continue, continue, and in the response also, right, we don't need to define that exact thing. We just wanted to have that, okay, it will be a token, right? So we can say XYZ ABC and continue, continue, and finish. Now we can say save. So if you say we just change the value, right? So if you say nowhere, nothing will be impacted, right? Now we can come back and activate this one. So if you come to the payload, right? So if you say right here, the sample values will come, right? So we know, right? Like first we wanted to test, right, whether it will work or not, right? So when we do the test, right, we don't need to provide the sample values, right? We need to provide the exact information only, right? So if you say at two places, right, it will expose if you put the exact information. One is this place and one is the endpoint metadata, right? So what we do, right, we can come back here and now we can go and provide the correct information. So this is what we have. Next is the password we have. Now we can go and click into run. So if you see, we are getting the correct information, right? So it means like by defining that value, right? So we just can modify the value so that okay, we will not expose our real information, right? So now here else it won't come. And if you go to the endpoint metadata, right? So here if you see, right? So this time, right, it will not show the exact information. It will just say that okay, we need to payloads and the inputs, right, those needs to look like this one, right? So it means key will is going to be this one, value needs to be look like this one, right? Same with the output, right? It is going to be the new token and the output looks like somewhere look like this one, right? That is what we can go and do, right? So when we need to share with any client or anyone, right, all the information about this endpoint, right? So we see, right, at the end, right, it is a REST API URL, right? So this is a URL only it got created, right? So we can go and share this information with the client. Now this is the one thing, right? We have created, we have shared, right? Now suppose if they wanted to test it out, right? How they will do the testing? Because we know, right, we are able to test in within the integration. We can come here, we can click into run, and then it will come, right? But what about them, right? Or maybe like suppose we only, right, we wanted to test it out from outside, right? Can we go and do the testing from outside, or always we need to come within the instance to test it out? Any question, any thoughts into that one, right? Can we test this integration from outside, or we need to just test from within the OIC only? Any thoughts? That's okay if it's wrong, correct?
I think
It's okay,
you are using parameters, right?
right?
Yeah, by running it will ask parameters, right? At the time we can give the correct.
So we can call from outside, right?
Yeah.
Postman.
Correct. So we have some, like if we need to test it outside, right? We should have some client, right? So client in the sense like some testing platform needs to be there, right? So there will be different in the market. So Postman is one of those, right? So we can use the Postman, we can use the SOAP UI, right? So these two are the ones most popular clients you can say which we are using. But other than these also, right? There are still some more are in the market. I think Bloomberg or something like that one, right? So there are different one in the market, but these two ones, right, are the highly used because of it's like easy UI and all, right? So one is the Postman and one is the SOAP UI. You can go to the internet; those are free for the download, right? So you can just say Postman. So this is that one, right? Postman what we have, right? So you can come here and you can directly do the download, right? So you can come here, no need for that power up and all. Yeah, so this is a download Postman, right? So you can come here and then what will happen, right? You can go and click into download this one, right? So this is going to be downloaded this application for you, right? So you can do and download here. If you wanted to directly on the web, right? You don't want to, right? So you can use the web version also, right? So that is also going to be same kind of thing. This is what we have, right? The second one is like SOAP UI, right? So you can just write SOAP UI and then this is one, right? What's most popular API testing tool, right? So you can come here and you can download this also. If in case if you need to have this one, right? So you can come here, click into download, then this will come, right? So you can click into ready API, right? So you can go and download this one, right? So this is how we have this one, right? So these two, any of one, right? You can go and download. So I already have the Postman with me, so I will go and open the Postman, right? So when you open it, so this is how it looks like, right? So it is going to be open for you completely. For me, right? I have created something, right? So these collections will be there. But rest all right, it is going to be like completely same for everyone, right? So what we do, right? We wanted to define the new, right? So we can click into this one, new request, right? So it will come untitled. If you wanted to give any name, right? You can go and rename, right? But this is a place, right, where we need to define. Now, suppose I will go and test this one, right? So this one, right? So I have shared this information for with the client, right? So what is I will do, right? This is the endpoint URL, right? Complete. I will copy this one and I will go and put here, right? So the complete URL I have pasted here. Okay, one thing, right? Now I can come here. What is the method of this one? It is a post method, right? So I can say this is not get method, it is a post method, right? Then in the post method, right, it has a request payload, right? So this is how the request payload look like, right? So we can copy this much and we can say that, okay, this will accept the JSON format, right? So we can come to the body and here we can say, right, we can go and use this one raw, and then here we can go and use the language JSON. Different languages are there, and then here we can go and put that one. So this is what we have put here, right? Now we can go and click in the test. So if you see it, unauthorized, right? Because with this one, right, there is no information available, right? We need to give the correct information here, right? So we can come to this one. So this is our password. You can say this is the password, and email is going to be this one. So this is what we have given, right? Now we can go and click into, and before to this one, right? Let me come here, right? So we know, right, this is the information, right? So what I will do, right, I will just duplicate this one, and we can go to the track instances, right? So we'll see, right, like when we do the testing, right, whether that will come here or not, right? Because when we are testing within the application, right, it is coming here, right? But what about like if we test outside, right? Will that also come or not, right? So let us see. We can click into send. So it is showing unauthorized, right? So why it is showing unauthorized? Because we need to provide the authorizations right here. So for this one, right, there was no authorization. Yeah, so we need to provide the basic authentication and we need to provide the username and password, right? So what it is going to be the username and password, right? So to access this one, right? If you see, right, how we are able to test this one, right? We log into this workspace and then we can come here and we can test it out, right? So same thing, right? We are testing outside it. So we need to provide the username and password of the instance, right? So we can come here because only authorized users can go and test, right? Otherwise, what will happen, right? Anyone can go and run this one, right? So we can say copy, right? So this is what we have given, right? Now we can go and click into send. If you see this time, right? We are getting that output from here, right? And if I will come here, right, into the instance. So previously only two was there, right? If I will go and refresh, right? So see, we are able to see the third run also just now, right? It means like this is how we can go and do the testing from outside in case if we wanted to do any testing, right? So this is the all things what we have here. Now suppose if something error or anything will happen, right? For example, right, we will not pass this one completely, right? We can go and click into send. So we will get that error and all, right? So if you go and see, right, whether that will also come or not. So if you see, it will show error, right? Because we have not passed any input into the correct format, so it will come into the error also, right? So it means like whatever we do in the Postman, right, each and everything, right, will come here and it will do the log, right? It will go and you can go and see the log, what is happened, right? What all issues happen, right? So if you see same as error message, right, we will get here also. If you can't refresh, if you so same error we are getting here, right? That while translating from native to XML, right, we are getting this error, right? So this is what we can do. Like in case if we need to test that application from the external, right, we can go and do the test, right? So this is the get method, right? Like post method, right? We know what will happen, right, if we need to test that get method, right? So we can come back here to our this integration. We can say run. So this is our request payload, right? Now what we do, right? We can come to the integrations. And this is the one which we have. Yeah. So this is the one, our one, right? Okay, I have clicked it the wrong place. So if you see right, it is showing one as a success, right? 20 minutes ago we have run, right? Now what we'll do, right? We wanted to run this, right? So how we will do, right? So we can come to the endpoint metadata. This is the URL it will be, right? So what we need to do, right? We need to copy the complete thing, right? We can copy. I will say new request. We can go and put that here, complete. So this is what. Now in this one, if you see, right? Whatever the parameters and all, right? So those automatically came here in the query parameters. Because in the URL, right? The parameters was there, right? So it came automatically here, right? That is the first thing. Do we need to define body? No, right? Because we don't have the body for in our itself, right? So no need to define the body and all. Now these are the request payload, right? Now what is the next one? It is a method, right? Get method, right? So we need to modify it to the get method, right? So by default it is in the get method only. So that is what we will have, right? So now let us go and do the testing. So we'll get unauthorized, right? So it means we need to provide that authorization, right? So we can come to this authorization. We can say basic authentication. Then we have this credential, right? So now let us go and click into send now. So if you see, still we are getting that error, right? So what error we are getting, right, is this one. So if you go to the parameters, right? So there's no value itself right here. The default values are coming, right? Current email and all, right? So we need to give the correct value. Now if you see, right, because of that on rate, we are not able to get. And if you come here, right, only one request was there, right, previously. If you go and click, right, so one error will also come, right? Now what we do, right, we will go and provide here the correct informations. So let us go and take the correct information. So this is the email and this is the password. And we can just send. So if you see right here, we are getting the password like token correctly, right? So it means like we are able to get the test the get method also, right? And if I will come here, right? So to run was there. Now let us go and refresh. See the current one, right, which was tested successfully, right? So it got into the success. So it means that is also working fine, right? Now suppose we don't need this parameter, we can just uncheck mark, right? So once we do uncheck, right, what will happen, right? From this URL, right, it will go away. If you see, it is checked, right? So password it is showing. If you remove it, so that will go from the password, right? And now once we click it, so what is happening? We are calling without the parameters, right? Again, it is went into the error state, right? So that is how we can go and do this one. Like if we need to test with external systems, right? So same API, right? How we can go and do the same integrations externally. If we need to share with anyone, right? Some client or maybe third party, right? Whatever we have created, right? Because they will now if you see, right? This is the third party, right? So they have exposed their REST APIs in this way, and we are able to use, right, like this one, right? Same way, right? Now we can also expose, right, with the help of endpoint metadata. So it is already there, and we can go and share this one, right? So this is how like we can go and share our integrations, whatever we have created with the external system. So this is all what we have for today. So if anyone has any questions, we can go and take those questions now. Any questions in any of the topics?
Prashant, so you
Yeah, please.
interchanged post and get, right? But if we
Right.
have a huge data, then that means post is the only option, right? May like
Yeah, post is the on.
okay.
Yes, post is the only option because the main of the post, right, is that only, right? Because it will come with the request payload.
Yeah,
So the
exactly.
request payload,
Yeah.
right? When you need to put like 10, 50, 100, right? Any number, right? You
Yeah.
can go and put in the case of payload
But
format. But with the
yeah,
parameter, right? If suppose we have to create 15 parameter, right? So this is not possible, right? It would be very difficult, right?
yeah,
But with the file, right, or with the payload, right, it is going to be the easy, right? So
yeah,
that
yeah.
because of that reason, right, it is that okay, we need to use the payload when it is a post method when we have the multiple things.
Right, right. Okay,
Hmm.
okay.
Any other questions if we have?
Yeah, Prashant, I tried to create.
Yeah, please.
I tried to create a project. In the project, if we are trying to create the integrations and all, so there is no option to give the package there.
No, there is no concept of the package because in this one, right, we have this package. So there that project, right? Project itself is the package.
Okay.
Now, first we need to see, right? What is the purpose of that package, right? Is
Hmm.
the migration, right? That okay,
Right.
like whatever it is there into this package, right? All those integration, right? We can go and easily migrate, right? For example, if we use the B21, right? The one which we created, so like these 9 integration, whatever we have created, all we need to migrate into one go, right? So that is the main purpose, right? So if you do the project, right? So the whole project you can go and migrate. So project and package, right? You can consider as that the same thing.
Okay.
Hmm.
And say like from the design, if I create one integration, and in the project
Okay.
also, it allows to create the same integration identifier. So that is
Yeah,
correct.
because yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because as I told, right, earlier we have this design only, right? So if you wanted to create anything global, right, that okay, which is available for everyone, right, and accessible with everyone, right? So you can go and do the into this one. Project is the one, right, when you wanted to put the restrictions and all, right? That okay, who will work, right? So suppose you can say that okay, in this instance, right, multiple team members are working on, right? Like multiple project team members, for example, right? So suppose some are working from the supply chain management, some are working from the finance, right? And someone work from the human capital, right? So you wanted to create your own, right? That okay, for supply chain management, right? We are the 10 developers. We will work on these integrations, and these we don't want to share with anyone, right? So for that reason, right, what we do, right? We can create a project. We can put into that whatever the integrations we will do, and then we will put the control there, right? So for that purpose, this project what we have is.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
in
And
one of the session, right, we will cover this project also. That okay, what all things. But as from the development perspective, right, whatever you can do in the design, right, all those things you can go and do the in the project also. So from the development perspective, everything is same. Only from the migration perspective, right, the things will change.
yeah. Okay. And yeah, one more question. So if
Yeah.
we have some integrations already in the design now, in Gen 3, we have the projects, right? So can I move the
Yeah.
once in the design to a project which is created?
So you wanted to move from one place to another place, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the design, we have created some integrations.
Okay.
Okay. So can we
Well,
package them into a project?
I don't think we have any such option. If you
Mhm.
see right here, if you see right, there is no such option
Yeah.
to create this integration. But I think from the package, right, you can do that one. So suppose this is a package, right? And now you wanted to create a project, right? So here that option is there. So with all these 9 integration, right, you can do the project.
Okay. Okay.
So project you can go and create.
Okay.
For example, let's say create project. Next application is in the log state. So if you see right, in this one, right, one application, one integration is there, which is in the log status. Inactive. So this application, right? This integration. So first
Yeah.
we can go. test underscore application. So this is in the log state. I think we don't need this itself because this is just we created. We are not configured anything, so we can go and delete this only. So delete is not also possible because first we have to unlock this one. So we can come here, unlock, and now we can go and delete this one. It got deleted. Now we can come back. Now 8 we have, so we can say create project. So project created. Now either you can click into directly here, it will come, or you can come from here. So this is the project which got created. You can come inside this one. So all your integration right came here. Right? So this is how you can create the project from the existing one. Now this project, right, as I told, right, it is still in progress, right? There are some more developments keeps happening here because this is a new feature in the generation 3. So in every 3 months, right, when new release will come, so whatever the changes you can expect more, right, is into this project only. So
Okay.
what the option which we just did, right, this one, right? So when the generation 3 came, right, so that time this option was not there to create the project from the packages and all. Then it came, right? So whatever you will see today in the project, right? So there is a possibility something will change in the coming releases also. So we can go and delete this again. Yeah. Any other questions if yeah. So when we discuss the project, right? So that time I will explain, but from the development, right? Everything is same. So no need to worry that, okay, what we are doing here, what we need to here. These two things just vary from the like tech lead perspective or the project management perspective.
Thanks.
Any other questions if you have? Okay, so if no question, then I think we can go and wrap up the session today here only. We'll connect tomorrow, same time, and we'll see the new topic. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.